everyone. Welcome to this episode of Unraveling the Veil with your host, Yara Rose, also known as Katie Mosier from the yararose.com website. That is YARAROSE.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. I am so grateful to have you here with me today. I hope that everyone is doing wonderful in their current season of life. Today, I wanted to share a personal experience that I've been going through with one of our dogs. It's the youngest one that we have. She just turned 2 at the end of March. And I want to share the story for a couple of reasons because I feel like it emphasizes how important having a community of trusted people around you is. I feel like it's a really good example of staying faithful even through the more challenging and difficult times. So I don't know, I think it was like 4 weeks ago, maybe now. I was sitting down to do my morning meditation like normal, and all of a sudden I heard one of our dogs in the other room start acting like she was choking. And I was concerned because it wasn't just a small choke thing. It sounded like she was really, really choking, and it kept up all morning. And then I left the house to go to work, and when I came home, she was still doing that choking noise. And it was very concerning to me because we had the other puppy that we got at the same time. We had to do an emergency surgery with him 2 weeks after getting him because he wouldn't stop eating everything in sight. I was triggered back into that time period where even though we came out good, my mind was like, oh my gosh, we have another one that is experiencing something where she's choking on something and she can't get it up. And that was what was really concerning to me, was it sounded like she was choking and nothing was coming up. So my mind immediately flashed to when Zave had the same problem. And I think I have talked about it on here before because it was such an important part in my journey of life. So that's one thing I want to point out right now is this is on a Monday morning that this initial occurrence, we'll call it, happened. And I was like, okay, well, we will see, with Zave's progression. It was like he was choking on something on a Wednesday. I don't know. We called the vet the very day it happened, but they said they gave us some things to watch for and whatever. And then on Thursday evening, he was like still functioning normally. I think he was even possibly eating a little and drinking a little, but not as much. And he actually allowed me to give him a haircut, which he has never done since. So that would have been a red flag now, but we were only 2 weeks in, so I didn't know. And then by that Friday, he had progressed to this really weird choky cough thing that I've never heard before. And that's when we went to the vet and had an emergency surgery. So with her, I was like, okay, well, we'll see. We went through this before. We'll see how Tuesday goes. And then Tuesday, when she woke up, she sounded absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. I was sitting and eating breakfast, and when she came upstairs, she just kept going and going and going, and nothing was coming up. So I called the vet right away because I was so nervous and scared that she had something in there and she just could not get it out. So yeah, I guess as like hindsight, I want to point out that in my experience at that time, I was so triggered by what I was seeing that I kind of got tunnel vision with what I thought was happening. Like I had convinced myself that this was the exact same situation, that she was choking on something and that she had something stuck and that we needed to hurry up and try to, help it along or move it along, or we were going to have to do surgery again. So when I called the vet, they asked me if she had been coughing at all. And then they said that there was a virus bacteria, they don't know if they really knew what it was, thing going around where they were seeing a lot of dogs that were coughing. And I was like, no, she's not coughing. She's like choking and she can't get anything up. That's why I'm so concerned. We did a drop off. I asked them to do x-rays to make sure that there was nothing stuck, no blockages. And they gave her some fluids because they said she was a little dehydrated. And when I picked her up, they said that there wasn't anything that was of concern. At the moment, anyways, they weren't seeing anything that would make them feel like they needed to operate or anything. And they gave her an antibiotic to help the system, clear out anything that may be in there that wasn't supposed to be, just in case there was some stuff in there. So we went home with that. And then as the week progressed, she just kept getting worse, because at first she was still eating and drinking. And then the coughing would get worse each day. And then the coughing actually turned into where she would vomit. She would actually get like this white foamy substance up, but it wasn't like any food or anything. So that Thursday, I brought her back in because we were really concerned about what was happening and that obviously the antibiotic wasn't doing anything. And we had kind of stepped back at that moment from there's a blockage in there to what else could this be? And the vet, I showed her a video of what a coughing fit or what the coughing/choking fit looked like. And the vet was like, "Oh no, that's coughing. That's what dogs look like when they're coughing." And I was like, "Oh, I've never seen this before." So, okay, that's news to me. So then we transitioned from treating her for a stomach antibiotic thing to more of a chest, like that type of bacteria, like if something had gotten in her chest. And we did that for the whole weekend. I think I called back again on like Wednesday to make an appointment for Thursday because she was just not getting any better. She had been on 2 antibiotics at that point for at least a week, like 2 different ones, like we discontinued the first one on that Thursday and started the new one. And she wasn't getting any better. She was barely eating. She was coughing. Like I had to like pick her up and carry her to and from places because if she had to walk those places, she would just she would just end up sitting down and having a coughing fit every couple of steps. So it was just very concerning. And during this time, I'm reaching out to everyone. From that Thursday to the next Thursday, I was so scared that we were going to lose our little 2-year-old dog. And this dog happens to be my daughter's. So there's that extra pressure of what do you do? How do you make sure that she's okay? How do you make her live longer? Yes, of course, at some point we're going to have to deal with the loss of this dog, but she's only 2. This shouldn't be happening. What's going on? I actually connected with her soul and asked her, what in the world? Like, you're 2, what's going on? And she said, Katie, sometimes even dogs need to be reminded of what it feels like to be healthy because sometimes even dogs start taking that for granted. So my soul agreed to have this experience so I could remember what health feels like and how good that I have it. And I was like, oh, that's great, but this is terrifying for us. But she kind of assured me that she wasn't going anywhere. It was just an experience. It was just a storm that we were going to have to weather together. And that made me feel better. But the self-doubt creeps in. What if I'm wrong? What if we do something wrong? What happens if how do we fix this? She's been back to the same vet twice. We're not getting anywhere. Do we try a new vet? Is there something that we're missing? All of these thoughts, right? When you're in a storm, you have your ego throwing every different story it possibly can. All of your fears are driving the cart. And you have to sit back and remind yourself, okay, all I can do is take one step at a time. All I can do is be in this moment and do the best thing I can for her in this moment. So I'm reaching out to everyone I know. What have you ever seen this before? What can I do to help aid her? Because you could just hear the congestion in her chest. You could feel it with your hands. Like, of course, I'm a Reiki practitioner. So I'd been, since that Monday, the very first Monday she came down with it, I've had a Reiki program running on her daily, helping to try to keep her as healthy as possible. But it's a whole integrated approach. You have to do more than just that. You have to take the medicine route. You have to take the holistic route. Like, what else can you do? There were a lot of times where I found that, especially in the morning, if you would massage her chest, that would really cut down on the amount of choking that she had to do, or coughing, I guess. Um, Whatever it is, it was coughing, I guess, but whatever. It would really help her. And it was kind of funny because she got to the point where she realized that that was helping. So when she was having a really bad coughing fit, wherever I was, she would come find me and she would look at me and then she would kind of ask me, just in our way that we communicate, if I could pick her up and rub her chest for her, help her through it. So I reached out to my Facebook community asking for advice on which essential oils were safest for dogs because I don't know about you guys, but if you search online, there are so many misleading stories about this one is and this one isn't. And then you'll find a different website that says the exact opposite. And I was like, I don't want to hurt my dog and trying to help her, but I want to help her too. So what can I do? And we tried diffusing that in the room. We tried so many different things from so many different people. My family was Googling up little things that we could do. They sent stuff to help us get through while we're trying to figure out what's wrong with her. So eventually we get to that next Thursday and I bring her in and I'm desperate at this point. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. She's getting really bad. She's throwing up all the time. She's no longer eating. Like, I don't know what to do. And we did a chest x-ray. We found out that she had stuff in her chest. But then the question became, what is this? Is this bronchitis? Or it sounded like there was a second thing that it could be. It could be a diagnosis for a fungal infection. And if it was a fungal infection, then she would need to have this urine test that would have to be sent away to a lab. And it sounded like if that came back positive, she would need to be treated with this aggressive medication. So they didn't want to treat her for that unless they had it affirmed that that is indeed what it was. And I was given this choice of, do you want to go ahead and do that test or do you want to start treating her for the bronchitis and see what happens? Because at this moment on this day, you're going to be treated the same way. They prescribed a steroid and then this other medication that was going to help actually open the airways for her so she could breathe easier. And then they gave us a cough suppressant as well. So she's like, it doesn't matter which one it is. This is what we would give you until that was confirmed. So it's up to you on whether you want to see what happens if she gets better on this. It's up to you on whether you feel that she should be tested right away or if you want to see if she's going to get better on this. And then if she does get better and continues to get better, then we know that it's not the infection because the infection would only get better to a very certain extent. And then after that point, it would just start deteriorating. And it was hard. We had done so many unnecessary tests already because I was convinced at first that it was a blockage. My trigger convinced me that this is a blockage and we absolutely have to do that stomach x-ray, which was so not necessary. But I really want to point that out because I want to point out how if we have unhealed trauma in our energetic field, things like this will trigger that. And the reason that it's coming up is because it wants to be healed. It doesn't want to be sitting in there causing chaos like this all of the time. I sat there and I was like, would I have done anything differently if I had healed that trauma? I probably would have been in that moment when I brought her off that Tuesday, I would have been open to them saying, oh, hey, this is going around. And we could have asked, more about that. Like, what have you been doing to treat that? Could we have started doing that like right away instead of waiting until it got worse and into her lungs more? But I was so convinced that she must have had a blockage that I wasn't even open to those other opportunities. And it's not a huge life-altering deal. Eventually, we got her on the right medicines. It was a more painful, like seeing the coyote card in one of my animal decks, and it talks about how you take all these detours. I feel like it's really important to remind yourself to be forgiving when you have experiences like this. Life is about learning from your past experiences, and sometimes we need these longer journeys, these detours to help us really understand and grasp the lessons. And I don't want any of you to use that as an opportunity to bully yourself. Instead, lift yourself up, learn through the experience. That's my wish for you anyways. I don't hold myself down because I went through the additional x-rays to rule out a blockage. It was a learning experience. I understand why it happened. I'm not upset with myself about it. I totally understand it. And I just extend myself some grace. And that's what I'm asking you to do whenever you end up taking these longer detours, is extend yourself some grace and love yourself through it. Life's a journey. Some paths are more direct than others. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all a process. Learn to enjoy every moment as it unfolds. Anyways, we got to the destination we were looking for. but it was a longer journey because of the blockages that I had. So now that I have that information, I know, next time we see this, A, I know what a cough sounds like, I know what it looks like. And B, even though it's similar to looking like they're choking on something, it's an opportunity for me to be like, okay, vet, you know more than I do. I am open to all possibilities before I insist that I know what's going on. Just things that I'm hoping that you guys can learn from my own experience. That's why I'm sharing this story with you because I'm like, oh, this is a great learning experience. This is what happens when you have unhealed traumas. This is how it plays out. Anyways, back to my story. She was treated with the steroid and that other medicine that I said. And it was so awesome because each day she got a little bit better and a little bit better. And, it's funny because you see these memes and all of these things around that say stuff like how you never would have thought that you'd miss the sound of a slamming door or something like that, when someone passes. And Willow is the noisiest dog we have. I mean, I spoke to her soul and asked her why she has to be so noisy all the time because she just is. And, she says, I have a lot to say. And usually I don't do it unnecessarily. I'm trying to convey something to you. Sometimes it's that I'm just happy and that I'm just joyful in that very moment. Tries to remind me to be joyful and be present in each moment. So it's interesting because when she was sick, she was barely moving. I was having to carry her everywhere. Otherwise she'd get into this really bad coughing fit. So each day when you'd see her get more active without coughing, when you finally got to see her playing with the other dogs again, that was amazing. The first time she got on the floor and chased her tail and made her noises again, I was like, I never thought I would have missed this, but I totally missed this. It's just amazing when you see the life come back in after being sick for weeks like that. Oh, man, I tell you, that was a roller coaster. But I'm really hoping, and the reason that I'm sharing it with you is, like I said, I really hope that you guys can see where I may have messed up, where my triggers, my experiences, my unhealed wounds from the past were creating blockages that made the path a little longer than it needed to be. Eventually, we got back to a healthy dog. Everything is great. Everyone's happy and playing and doing wonderful again. Thank the universe, the creator, but definitely didn't need to quite take as many steps. But you know what? I learned a lot from that experience, and that's the main point. That's the main takeaway is when you do take a little extra time on those detours, just make sure that you take the wisdom with you moving forward. Take those nuggets of wisdom. They really are pearls that you can use in your future endeavors. From this experience, I just learned how amazing having a really supportive and loving community is of people that are willing to help you out when you're going through a challenging time. That Wednesday, before we got the steroid, was I had to take a break. I've been worried sick over this dog for a week and a half. I don't know what's going to happen. I really, truly don't know what to do. Spirit tells me she's going to be okay. Her soul told me she's going to be okay. But from everything I'm seeing from my external environment, I am not seeing that. And I need a minute. I need a minute to ground myself, to not think about her for just 1 minute, and I think that it's really important for anyone going through any kind of storm to just remind yourself of how important it is to ground yourself, how important it is to take a step back, regroup before moving ahead, before trying to march through in all of this chaos, because you can't make a great decision when fear has you so terrified that you can't function anymore. And I think it's a really good lesson in faith, in trusting your intuition. Like I said, I debated on maybe I need to go to a new vet. Maybe they've never seen something like this before and we should try something else out. But I had to tune into myself and I had to tune into the situation. I had to own up to what was my part and what was their part. And I had misled them the first time with giving them information that I thought was true in the moment, but turned out maybe I was jumping the gun a little bit based on past experiences. And I felt like once we were like, we've given this a little more time, we're kind of seeing this. They took what we said in every situation into their decision on, oh, you're seeing this, you're telling us this. They respected our opinions. And in that moment, when I made that decision, I was like, I think that they are the ones that are going to help us get this resolved. They respect my opinion. I know that we're going to get this resolved. Whenever you guys are going through something like that, I just want you to really touch base with your team, spiritual team, your intuition. And even though sometimes it may seem like, yeah, you should jump ship, maybe it's not in your best interest. Maybe that one last time, that one next time would have been the time that everything would have been repaired. You just never know. And that's why I feel like it's so important to surround yourself with people, both professionally and personally, that respect you, respect your opinion, that you respect them and you respect their opinions, and you have this mutually beneficial relationship. Now, if at any time I had felt like our vet wasn't really hearing me, wasn't really giving the dog the adequate attention and care, of course, we would have tried someone else, but that wasn't the case. That wasn't the experience I was having. They were always very diligent and very respectful, and they were always trying their best to help Willow be at her healthiest. And at the end of the day, that is all that any of us were asking for, was to get Willow healthy again. And she is. And I'm so excited that she's healthy again. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It is so fun to see her back in her element. Its dogs are just so precious. And time that you have with them is nothing in compared to a human lifetime. So this was just another lesson in remembering how important it is to enjoy every single moment you have with them, because you just never know when it's going to be your last. You never know when any of your time is going to be up. I am so appreciative of everyone that helped me out during this time. I am so appreciative of my spiritual community, of my tools that helped me stay in my personal power and my confidence and being able to make the right decisions to help Willow get where she is. I'm just so grateful for so many things. And I'm also grateful for the opportunity to share this experience with you guys, so that way hopefully you can learn just to even stop yourself when you notice that you're having a triggered reaction, like, oh my gosh, this is like this scenario, and then you start troubleshooting from that point. It's like, no, Katie, this isn't that point. You don't even know that she ate something. They saw him eat something. This is a totally different situation, which means you need to be completely open about what it could be. Please learn from that. And if not, you'll take the longer way around and you'll get the lesson. So, whatever. It's all good. Oh, I just love talking to you guys. I did draw a couple cards for you, and I told Spirit that this was a story that I really wanted to share with you today. And I asked them if they had any words that they wanted me to convey to you about the situation. And they had me draw this flow and purification water card, which says, you need to clear the emotional clutter and lighten your load. Take a moment to relax and soak in the flow of water. Whether through meditation or a soothing bath, allow your mind to heal and regenerate. They also shot out a different card that says, intuition and mystery owl. Trust your intuition today. Often the answers aren't obvious, but your inner guidance is the truest one. Look inward and unravel the hidden mysteries, allowing yourself to embrace deeper wisdom. Y'all, I really hope that my experience down this amazing little journey that I took you on helps you in some way. I'm not sure which way that will be, and that's not up to me. But I hope that sharing this story provides you with an insight and an understanding and a real life experience of how these different things play out into the real world experience. As always, I love you so much and appreciate you for tuning in. I love you all, and I wish you the most love, light, and inspiration. With all of my love, Yara Rose.